I have a very exciting adventure. I'm about to take you guys along with me. We are just north of Bridgeport, California, and we're gonna head thousands of feet up into the mountains in search of some ghost towns, some old cabins, some old mines. There's some rich history up here, and I've never been to this area before, so I'm excited to explore it for the first time. And I wanna thank the sponsor of this video, which is Onyx Off-Road. We're creating a rugged adventure route that I'm going to record this entire trip, mark all the waypoints, and make it available through Onyx so you guys can come out here and do this same exact route. I am super excited to see where the trail takes us. There's going to be some epic scenery. We're going to find some cool campsites, and yeah, we're just going to have a great time, guys. Let's hit the trail. Brings me pure joy to explore new places, finding new campsites. But something that just takes it to another level is actually putting a mission behind an adventure like this, like finding these old ghost towns and mines. And maybe it's the military in me where you just got to have like a purpose for being out here. And I think this is going to be a really good trip. I have marked 12 potential spots to stop along the way. Now, I don't know what degree of decay these are going to be in, and some of them might still be standing and some of them might not. I've done quite a bit of research, but we won't know until we get there. Plus, I don't really know how easy or rugged this trail is going to be. I've got a little bit of information, but we're not going to know until we just get going. I'm stoked on this, guys. I hope you enjoy coming along and see where we end up. Our adventure begins just a few miles north of Bridgeport, California, a small and quiet mountain town. I topped off the tank, filled the fuel cans, and grabbed a few last-minute supplies because for the next 3 days, that will be the only place that I will be able to resupply. The trail over the next few days will wind through a mix of terrain, a few tight and technical sections with some rocks and ruts, some unexpected narrow sections through the forest, and even a shelf road, which, I'll admit, isn't my favorite. But to start, it's smooth sailing. The early miles are scenic and easy, the kind of trail that eases you in before the real adventure starts. The first couple miles in, and we've climbed a lot in elevation. We're just over 7,800 feet, and I know this trail route is going to take us well over 11,000 feet. Can't wait for those views. But one thing to note is you need to check the snow report before you come out here. Coming out here in the late spring or the summer like I'm here now, we're going to be fine. But if I was going to come out here any other time, I would definitely want to make sure that I was checking that snow report. Our first stop is just up ahead. This is just something I saw on the satellite. It didn't look like much, but we're going to check it out. But I know the next stop, oh, that one's going to be good. Our first stop is the Success Mine. And what I know of this is that this was a prospecting gold mine in 1921. And there's quite a bit of ruins over here. We'll go take a look. But just to note, this looks like it could be a really good campsite. I mean, if it's windy, I wouldn't want to be here. But right now, it's absolutely beautiful out here. And the views are incredible. I wouldn't mind spending a night evening here for sure. Off in the distance out there, it looks like there's some foundations in an area that was cleared maybe for a cabin. So we'll go check that out in a second. But let's go check out this mine. And you can see all the ore that was pulled up off the ground. You can see some old beams over here, which probably helped them get all this ore out of there, plus just climb in and out themselves. And then there's the big mine shaft. It's all caved in, but I imagine that went pretty deep. And then if you look over here, you can see the tailing pile. So you can see all the ore that they were pulling out of here looking for that gold. I don't know how big of an operation this was. There's only a little bit of information here, but they were obviously working hard. There's a lot of areas over there where the earth has just been dug up. I don't know if they were digging other shafts or maybe they were creating a ventilation shaft for their main one, but they've disturbed a lot of earth, and there's a lot of timber all around here, but I'm excited to see what these man-made structures are up ahead. So there's this big flat open area which has been cleaned up of all the shrubs, and right here is a structure. I wasn't sure what that was from afar, but it looks like it might be a well that's now all covered up. But out there in the field, there's all kinds of timber and stuff out there. And so I wonder if maybe there was once upon a time a cabin there. Now, this was 1921, so that's over 100 years ago. And you think about all the weather that comes up here, surprised that there's any timber here to see at all. Well, I know there wasn't a whole lot there, but it makes you wonder what was there. And you know, 50 years from now, none of that might be visible. But I'm excited about what's ahead, because from the satellite image, it looked like there was a lot of structures, and history says this was a pretty big operation, so we'll see what we find. As I make my way towards the next stop, it's hard not to think about what drew people out here more than a century ago. In the late 1800s, this corner of the Eastern Sierras was alive with the promise of gold and silver. Hundreds of miners carved roads into these mountains, built entire towns from nothing, and chased veins of ore through these rugged hills. Most of those towns vanished just as quickly as they appeared. The gold played out, the money dried up, and nature has slowly been reclaiming what was left. What remains today are weather reminders of that short, fierce burst of ambition that shaped this whole region. Oh, wow. This was a massive operation. This is way cooler than what I saw on the satellite view. This is going to be a fun place to explore. This is what I hope we find a lot more of. This is the Chemung Mine, and there was obviously a lot of people, a big operation going on here. I didn't expect to see this many structures. They're not holding up very well. Let's go see what we can find. The Chimong Mine was established in 1909 by Stephen Kavanaugh, who named it after his hometown of Chimong, Illinois. If his name sounds familiar, it should. Kavanaugh Ridge, just a few miles from here, also bears his name. I was just up there a couple weeks ago with my good friends standing on that very ridge. In its early years, Chimong was a busy little camp. There was a mill, a bunkhouse, mine offices, and even a general store. Enough infrastructure to support 20 miners at its peak. They hauled ore from these hillsides by truck and mule teams, chasing veins of gold and silver that ultimately produced over $1 million worth before the operation shut down in 1938. Like many ventures of its time, Chimong struggled with lawsuits, rough winters, and the cost of hauling ore out of the mountains. What's left today, the collapsing mill, the rusted equipment, and the scattered timbers are all that remains of Stephen Kavanaugh's dream. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we're on the hunt for, guys. I hope we find a lot more of this. It's incredible how much work was put into building this. And then if you just think about like the operation that was happening, you know, the busyness, all the noise, all the people, and the excitement for, you know, trying to strike it rich. This is a pretty cool find. Definitely worth the price of admission right here. Let's go see what else we can find. If that old mine has you itching to explore, I'm sharing the Onyx Rugged Adventure Trail and waypoints to that mine in the video description. You can grab them and get 20% off Onyx Off-Road with my link below. That's what I'm using out here to navigate for the next 3 days. So those last two spots were pretty close together, but we've got a little ways to go before we get to our next waypoint. Let me mention that there's some aspen trees out here and they're just now starting to turn yellow. Fall is on its way. I'll bet in another couple weeks it'll just be beautiful out here. Not that I'm mad about it. The views off in the distance have just been gorgeous and the trail has been moderate and there's been a few people out here, so you're not completely by yourself. We'll see how it goes. We got a lot of miles to put in over the next couple days. Turned off onto a little 2-track and we're heading towards the Serita Mine, and you can already tell there's just earth that's been disturbed everywhere. And this trail is a little tighter, a little rougher, but it's fine. A little shelf road here, but nothing to worry about. I don't believe there's any structures here, but I mean, you just look at all the earth that was moved here. I mean, there was a lot going on here. As I make my way down this fun, rugged 2-track, my mind starts to wander a bit.
We're sitting at over 8,500 feet in elevation, and I can't help but imagine what life was like up here over a century ago. Winters in these mountains are no joke. Cold, windy, and relentless. But that was a different time and a different breed of folks who came here chasing fortune. There isn't much written history about the Serita Mine itself, but records from the district say roughly 55,000 ounces of gold and 93 ounces of silver were pulled from these hills. The operation shut down in the early 1920s, and now all that's left are these massive tailing piles, silent reminders of how much rock had to be moved just for that little bit of gold.
If I was looking for a campsite tonight, this spot right here would do just fine. The trail coming in was fun, it was tight, it was a little technical. The most challenging, at least so far, nothing crazy. But there's nothing here. There's just switchbacks and a bunch of tailing piles from where they disturbed the earth, and I don't see any structures. So we're gonna continue on. And the next place, well, this one I'm excited about.
I've been on the trail for several hours now, and I am loving this route. And now I find myself traveling down this beautiful canyon. The scenery just keeps getting better. Steep hillsides, sagebrush, and those fall colors beginning to show. Oh yeah. Every few miles, I'll pass the weathered remains of another small mining claim. A collapsed cabin here, an old ore chute there, the leftovers of dreams scattered all over this region. This whole area was buzzing with activity in the early 1900s, and you can still feel that history in the air. The trail itself is beautiful, and it's leading me towards one of the most fascinating places out here. This is the Pittsburgh Mine, located in the Masonic Mining Camp.
Behind me is what's left of the Masonic Mining Camp. Gold was discovered here in like 1860, but it wasn't until 1900 when they really started mining and building up this place. By 1911, there was a school, there was a saloon, there was a hotel, and there were 1,000 people living and working out in this whole area. There's still little pieces of some of those old buildings out here, but most of it has just been grown over. This was a major town once upon a time, and there was a little treachery here. Somebody was found dead at the bottom of a shaft. Nobody knows how that happened. Some say that his ghost still remains out here. I don't think I'm camping here tonight.
It's still a little too early in the day to make camp anyway, but I spent a good while wandering through the Pittsburgh Mine and Masonic ruins, walking between everything, the crumbling timber that once held up this entire town. It's wild to think about how much life existed here, and now it's just me, Luna, and the wind. But the day's not over. There's more trail ahead, and I'm continuing my trek to the northeast.
So after the Masonic Mine, went up and over this mountain and climbing down, things have gotten a little rougher. It's okay, nothing crazy, but there's definitely a few little ruts, some rocks, some obstacles kind of slowing the pace down a little bit, but that's okay. I'm in no hurry. I have no idea what time we're gonna find camp. I've got some potential spots marked, but we're just gonna see how the day goes. Dropped a lot in elevation over the last hour. We're under 6,000 feet now. It's warmed up. And we're on a little bit of a shelf road. Nothing sketchy, but definitely need to be mindful, slow your pace, and keep it in a low gear. Off in the distance, I have marked a couple camp spots that are on a river. It's early afternoon still, but I wouldn't mind camping next to a river. So we'll see how premium those spots are, and then we'll decide if we want to keep on pushing or set up shop for the night.
It wasn't long before I reached the East Walker River, but I couldn't find a spot that really felt right to set up camp, although it might have been nice to fish a little bit here, but I decided to keep rolling. The good news is the trail opened up a bit through here, nice and smooth, which meant I could finally pick up the pace for a few miles and just enjoy the drive.
We've turned off the dirt and we got about 5 miles on the pavement, and then we turn back off on the dirt again. This is the only section, at least that I know of, that we're going to be spending on asphalt. And there are some gorgeous mountains way off in the distance. Tomorrow, we're going to be up there. All right, we're back on the dirt and we're just cruising through some ranch land here. There was a gate and was not locked, but it did ask to close it, so I made sure to close it. And now we are Gonna climb a little bit in elevation, and we are aiming for the mining town of Monte Cristo. We might camp there tonight because it's about that time. We'll see how it goes. I've seen so many quail just running back and forth across the trail. Let me emphasize, this section of trail is not smooth. It is washboarded, it's rocky. This is slow going right here. I'm looking forward to a little more smoother trail, but we got to get through this track. I think once we get a little bit higher, it'll smooth out. But this is, yeah, it's one of those sections where you just want it to be over. So we made a turn off of the main track to come down here to the Monte Cristo mining town, and things started to get really tight and the trees started to kind of close in on us, and we're pretty much to a point where I can't get through, and I don't feel like chopping down a massive tree tonight. And there's a camp spot just behind me. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back there, park it, and then Luna and I will take a little hike and still go check out the mining town. I don't think it's that far, and the walk would probably do us good. Okay, we've staged up in between the trees. Nice little flat spot, that'll work for the night. Now Luna and I are gonna go for a little hike. So it's about 1.5 miles according to Onyx, down and back. So that'll do us a little good to have a little stroll, and we'll go to check out and see what's down there. So we are about 3/4 of the way down the trail, and it looks like we made a good choice because the road is closed down here and there is really not any place to turn around. So the good news is Luna and I can continue on foot and see what's down there. Well, I've got good news, I've got bad news, and I've got more bad news. The good news is the walk down here was beautiful and it was downhill the whole way. The bad news is we've reached a gate and a private property sign. Now, I was looking very carefully on the map, and where the buildings that I saw on the map, those were on National Forest. There is some private property out that way, but it was not around these buildings. So I'm kind of questioning this whole gate, but we're going to be mindful and do the right thing. And sometimes that's the nature of the beast anyway. You get somewhere and you don't find what you're looking for, or somebody owns it and you can't get in. And you know, we've had a great day, so one strike, no big deal. The other bit of bad news, it's uphill the rest of the way. So we're going to get a good workout. But the good news is we'll be nice and hungry when we get up there. We got back from our walk, which was much needed. Really enjoyed that, and Luna got to run around, which was great. And I am on 25 hours of a 24-hour fast, so I got an extra little bit of fat burn on there. And fasting is just something I've started incorporating into my lifestyle. It's just a personal choice. But now I'm ready to eat. And so Luna has had her dinner, and we feed her in a muffin tin. Actually, it's silicone, but it's a muffin tin, because ever since we brought her home, she's had a hard time like slowing down and eating. She just devours the food and then she starts choking on it. So we've had to use puzzle feeders and hand feeding her and all these things. And what we found is that little muffin tin kind of slows her down a little bit. So that's what she eats out of. Me, I'm not going to be eating out of a muffin tin, but I am going to be having a couple butter garlic steaks and some green beans. I'm starving. All right, steaks are done. Let those rest for a minute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the green beans and just put them right in here. Soak up all that beef flavor. And a little garlic salt and pepper. And we're going to be good to go. You know, when I was a kid, my mom used to always put bacon in green beans. I don't normally do that, but it should taste pretty good. Did I mention I'm hungry? I could eat. Oh yeah, nice and pink in there. It's got good flavor, but it's a sirloin, so it's not the best cut of meat, but it'll work. I can eat those for sure. Yep, and I'm gonna eat that entire can of green beans. Oh, yeah, it's good. Guys, today has been such a fun day. I'm so happy that we found so many cool spots along the way. And the terrain was perfect, and the scenery was amazing. Tomorrow, we're going to enjoy some coffee in the morning, and then climbing to 11,000 feet. And there are several mines, cabins, and ghost towns all on the way. And if all goes well, maybe tomorrow night we'll be camping around a ghost town. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to enjoy this dinner. I'm going to enjoy this sunset. We'll see you guys in the morning. Luna and I are on the trail bright and early this morning. We had a very peaceful night and morning at camp. I was up a little early and had some coffee and decided, you know what? There's no time like the present than just to head out and go see what we can find today. So we are climbing pretty high in elevation. We've got a few miles to get to our first stop, which is a place called Bellfort. And I'm excited to see what that's all about. That camp spot was really nice. And one thing I like to do when I find a good camp spot is I will get on the Onyx app and I will mark the waypoint, and then I will take a picture of it. And that way I can see what it looks like, and I'll put a few details about, the size. Was it flat? Was there trees? Was there any protection from the wind? And that way, if I ever come back or I'm sharing it with a buddy, they've got an idea of, that might be a camp spot worth saving. So I like that little feature in Onyx. Something I try to do as often as I can. Okay, looks like it's gonna be a little bit bumpy and lumpy for a little while, but should be a good day. Well, this is beautiful and a welcome change. We've cleared most of those low-lying shrubs and we are climbing, and it looks like we're going to be above the tree line pretty soon, almost to 9,000 feet. The terrain is steep, it's rocky. I've got it in 4 low and just taking my time. Nothing difficult here, but you can hear the Jeep is working. We're climbing fast and we're climbing straight. There's just some mild switchbacks here, but most of the time your nose is just pointed straight up.
This is the start of the climb up to the peak of Mount Patterson, and if all goes well, we'll reach an overlook sitting just above 11,000 feet. But from here on out, the trail gets a little more serious, rocky, narrower, and a few tight sections that ride tight along the ridgeline. As the elevation climbs, the views just explode in every direction. Layers of mountains, desert valley, and the deep Sierra sky that just stretch forever. It's rugged country up here, and that's exactly why it makes it so special. But before we reach the top, there's one stop worth checking out. Another point of interest tucked up in the high country. A reminder that even places this remote, people once carved out a life chasing fortune in the mountains.
Well, that was quite the climb coming up here. Definitely the hardest terrain we've encountered so far. Good shelf road. But man, the views, just incredible. Now we've climbed to just over 10,000 feet. We are not to the top yet, but I've stopped here at the Belfort Mine. And this was a small gold and mining camp back in the 1800s. And there's not a whole lot up here, a couple cabins, but it just makes you wonder like how hard it must have been to get up here with all your supplies and then to live up here. I mean, the winters up here must just be brutal. I can't even imagine. These people must have been tough as nails, but you know, they were trying to strike it rich. It's a pretty cool little spot. Well, I really enjoyed that stop. To think that those cabins are over 140 years old is pretty incredible. What a spot though. Just a reminder though, when you are out here exploring these places, if you see any artifacts like that old cast iron frying pan, just let them be, guys. Leave them there for the next person to enjoy. I think that's very important. Next up, we're climbing just over 1,000 feet more to get to the peak of Mount Patterson. And there should be some good stuff up there to check out as well, but we gotta climb up this rugged trail first. Looks like we're gonna drop in elevation here for a little bit before we start climbing higher. And these are some tight switchbacks. They're rocky, rutted. Nothing crazy, but I'm going slow, taking my time. I haven't had to do any 3-point turns yet, so that's promising. But we still got a ways to go. It looks like it's dropping quite a bit before we start our climb back up. We're at 10,400 feet. We've reached 11,000 feet and the air has gotten a little thinner, but the views are incredible, guys. They're so gorgeous. We just passed a sign that said this place is called Mars with Flowers, and definitely the Mars piece, because you can see some red and white terrain that's just barren up ahead because we're above the tree line. And then there's all this plant life on the ground here, and apparently it's pretty unique to this area because it has to thrive and live in this rugged, extreme winters up here. And so this is a very interesting place. There's still a little bit of snow on the ground, but man, guys, the views off in the distance, wow. I am blown away right now about this. I had done a little research and I'd seen some pictures about this area, but nothing prepared me for this. This is incredible. This is a hidden gem, guys. I've never seen views like this in so many directions, so many different colors and textures and shapes. It's absolutely breathtaking. Oh my gosh, guys, you have to come here. And I can see a flag flying up at the top here, so we are almost at the peak of Mount Patterson. What a drive. Oh, good day, guys. What a good day. We made it to the top, guys. This is spectacular. This has made this entire trip worth it. I mean, everything we've seen so far has been amazing, but this is epic right here. Oh my gosh, guys. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is a place I'll be back to. I'm excited to see what the drive out looks like, and we still have lots to see, but I think Luna and I are gonna pause here for a minute and soak this in. Wow.
That really was something special. And those are the kind of views that just stay with you. But the adventure's not over. The drive down is going to offer a whole new perspective. The mountains and valleys laid out in front of me from a completely different angle. Before I drop too far though, I've got a waypoint marked just below the flag, something I noticed on the map that caught my attention. Let's roll down and check it out.
Made our way down from the peak of Mount Patterson and just took a slight little detour. It's only about maybe 500 yards off the main trail, and there's this old stone cabin, and this is the Monte mining area. It's crazy that somebody built a cabin here and was living and working in this just such an obscure landscape. Wow. All right, making our way down the backside of Patterson Mountain, and we're back with some plant life, some trees off in the distance, and we've been descending rapidly couple little switchbacks, pretty steep here. Just taking my time, using a low gear. There's been a couple little ruts and rocks, but nothing crazy technical. This is all just about taking your time and keeping your focus and not too much focus on the views.
The last stretch off the mountain started to get a little more rugged. There were a few sections where the trail turned rocky and rutted, nothing too extreme, but enough to keep you paying attention. This entire route can definitely be done in a stock 4x4 with good clearance. Just make sure you take your time and pick your lines carefully, and you'll get through just about everything without any issues. Overall, I'd rate this entire route about a 4 out of 10 on the difficulty scale, just slightly on the moderate side. It's the kind of trail that keeps things interesting without wearing you out. All right, it looks like there's a lake not too far ahead, and that might just be the perfect place to stop, take in the views, and grab some lunch. We've stopped here at Lobdell Lake. I think that's how you pronounce it. And looks like a pretty lake. It looks like the water's come down a little bit, but there's somebody across the lake fishing, so there's probably some good opportunities here to fish. And you might be able to camp around here. I'm not sure, I didn't see any signs for no camping, but that's not our plan today. We're just here to stop for lunch, take a break, let Luna run around, and then we're gonna keep on heading out. It's still early in the day. I don't know where we're gonna end up, but I gotta tell you guys, that section of trail rivals some of the best trails that I've done in Colorado, hands down. Absolutely epic. This turned out to be the perfect spot for lunch. Quiet, scenic, and a good place to catch my breath. Literally, after spending the morning above 11,000 feet, it actually feels nice to have a little more oxygen in the tank again. And thankfully, I managed to keep Luna out of the water. The last thing I need is a wet dog riding in the back of the truck. Feeling recharged, it was time to pack up and keep heading north, keeping an eye out for that perfect campsite to wrap up the day. Out here, finding the right spot is half the fun.
It was a nice lunch stop, very satisfying. Now, when I said I don't know exactly where we're gonna end up today, I actually don't. That going up to Patterson Mountain and back down was a lot slower going than I anticipated. That was a rough trail. Now we're on some wide open ranch road, it looks like, and so things have kind of smoothed out. So we might be able to gain a little bit of time, but I don't have any more hard stops today. We might come across something, we'll see. But tomorrow should be pretty incredible. But what I need to do tonight is find a good place to camp. So we'll see how far we go.
Well, famous last words. That smooth ranch road didn't last long. The next several miles slowed things down again, and a few rough patches and rocky stretches to keep me honest. The good news is, Mother Nature kept delivering. Every turn seemed to open up another incredible view, and honestly, that's a trade I'll take any day.
I think I mentioned a little while back I was having a hard time finding any campsites. Well, it's about 4:30. I made the turn after this gate coming through this canyon, and lo and behold, there's a whole bunch right next to this creek. So I drove up, kind of checked them all out, and I came back to this one because this one is perfect. It's got blockage from the wind, it's got this beautiful rock mountain, it's got another mountain on the other side, and we've got the creek right there. It's level. The only challenge is there's quite a few cows out here, and well, they've left their mark here. But otherwise, this is actually a really nice camp spot, and the timing is perfect. Tonight, I'm going to cook up a little chicken and vegetables and just sit here and listen to the sounds of the creek. Maybe even turn on some tunes and relax a little bit. And tomorrow, the plan is we're gonna get up bright and early, and we're gonna finish this section of trail. There's a small little road section that I forgot about that we gotta do, and then we are heading onto another trail to a really large, what looks like a large mining camp on the satellite. So I'm excited to see what we find when we get there. And then after that, we got to hit the pavement and I got to head home. That's why we're leaving early tomorrow. But guys, this has been an incredible trip, and I'm so thankful to be out here right now. What a beautiful drive in this canyon along the stream to start out the morning. It's gorgeous out here. And I mentioned I had scouted a couple other campsites last night as I was looking, but as I'm traveling down this trail, there are so many more, and ones that might have been a little nicer, but that's okay. I've got a couple spots marked for a future trip out here, and I did see a couple little small trout in that creek, so could be some fishing opportunities here. I have no idea how long it's going to take us to get off this trail this morning, but we're going to continue on. It's a little rugged right now. I'm thinking it's going to smooth out, and we got to get onto pavement, and then we'll explore one more ghost town. Just did that short little 8-mile section on the road, and we're back on the dirt and we're heading up towards the mountain. A little more desert landscape out here, which is pretty interesting, and I'm excited to see how big this ghost town is. One thing I want to mention about this rugged route is I fueled up in Bridgeport, and there have not been any opportunities to get fuel or food or water. So before you even start this trip, you need to make sure that you are ready to go. I'm at 1/3 of a tank, and I do have 4 extra gallons of fuel with me. I don't think I'm gonna need it, especially if the terrain stays nice and smooth like this, but I'll tell you, that drive through the mountains yesterday really burned up a lot of fuel just because it was so slow. We were climbing pretty steep. So I would just make sure that you're all prepared before you come out here. Okay, let's hope this trail stays a little smoother. We can make up some ground. Well, that last section of trail was tight, technical, and a whole lot of fun. But the payoff is we are here at Pine Grove. And Pine Grove was an old mining town in the 1870s. There was over 600 people living out here. There was saloons, hotels, a doctor's office. There's not much left, but it's kind of cool to let your imagination wonder what it was like when all those people were here living, working, drinking, having a good old time.
Walking around these weather-worn cabins and overgrown foundations really reminds you how quickly these mountain towns sprang up and vanished. Now the walls are silent and the trees are reclaiming the land, but that's part of the magic. It's not just a ruin, it's a monument to ambition, to the unknown, and to the people who dared to live and work out here. And standing here now with Luna at my side, I feel like I'm walking in their footsteps.
What an incredible piece of American history still left standing. It was worth coming down that tight technical trail to get here. And as a reminder, you guys can do this entire route and see all the waypoints and come visit these places. I will leave a link down below to the Onyx Off-Road Rugged Adventure Route. All you gotta do is download it, pack up your gear, and come on out, guys. A huge thanks to Onyx for sponsoring this adventure. I hope you guys have enjoyed coming along with me. I have had a blast over the last couple days. Until next time, safe travels.